Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.
Ozcast.
Okay, so Iran's cryptocurrency scene, it's booming.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the government is cracking down on it.
Yeah, it's a bit of a head scratcher.
Right. It seems contradictory. Why would they do that?
Well, that's what we're going to try to figure out today.
Yeah, we're diving into this paradox, using a recent Al Jazeera article as our guide.
Exactly. What makes this whole situation so interesting is the context.
The context.
Yeah. You see, Iran's economy is really struggling right now, and their currency, the rial, is plummeting.
I've heard about that.
And on top of that, sanctions have basically isolated them from the global financial system.
Ah, so they're in a tough spot.
Yeah, they are.
So no wonder over 10 million Iranians have turned to cryptocurrency.
Exactly. And for them, it's more than just a way to make a quick buck.
Right. It's like a lifeline?
Exactly. Think of it this way. Imagine needing to send money to your family overseas, but your bank is blocked from international transfers because of sanctions.
Oh, I see.
Crypto allows you to bypass those traditional systems.
So it's a way to connect with the global financial system when you're shut out of the traditional one.
Precisely. It also provides access to stable assets like USDT.
USDT?
Yeah, USDT. It's a type of cryptocurrency that's pegged to the US dollar.
Ah, so it's like a digital version of the dollar.
Exactly. Offering a level of stability that the riddle simply doesn't have right now.
That makes sense.
To give you an idea of just how bad things are, the rial has plummeted against the US dollar.
Really?
Oh, yeah. It's lost something like 40% of its value in the last year alone, according to the Al Jazeera article.
Wow, 40%.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
So it's understandable why people would look for alternatives.
Yeah, absolutely.
But how has the government responded to this surge in crypto activity?
Well, the Central Bank of Iran, or CBI, has taken some pretty drastic steps recently.
Like what?
Well, they've suddenly blocked riddle payments on crypto exchanges.
Oh, wow. So now it's much harder for people to buy crypto using their local currency.
Yeah, it's a pretty big obstacle.
It almost seems like they're trying to discourage people from using crypto altogether.
Right. And on top of that, they're also demanding extensive access to customer data from these exchanges.
That raises some interesting questions about privacy and government control, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Some people might see it as a necessary step for regulation,
Yeah, I can see that side of it.
while others might view it as an invasion of privacy.
Right. It's a tough one to balance those two perspectives.
It is, and to make things even more complicated, officially the CBI claims they want to monitor and manage the crypto market.
Oh.
They say they want to prevent further depreciation of the rial and also promote crypto for export trade.
Well, those all sound like reasonable goals on the surface.
Yeah, they do. But are they telling the whole story?
That's the question, isn't it? Could there be other motives at play here?
Exactly. Could they be more concerned with control than economic stability?
That's a good point. Governments have been known to use seemingly benign justifications to exert more power.
Right. And then there's the question of sanctions.
The sanctions.
Yeah. Is the government trying to leverage crypto to circumvent those sanctions?
Interesting. You mean like using it for their own transactions while restricting individual access?
It's definitely a possibility.
So a classic case of do as I say, not as I do.
Possibly. It adds another layer of complexity to the situation.
It sure does.
Yeah.
But let's bring it back to the people on the ground.
Okay.
How is this crackdown impacting those 10 million Iranians who rely on crypto?
Well, the Al Jazeera article, we're looking at, quotes, the CEO of a local Iranian crypto exchange.
Okay.
And he's highly critical of the government's actions.
What are some of these criticisms?
He argues that this crackdown is actually driving people toward underground, unofficial activities.
Ah, so it's having the opposite of its intended effect.
It seems that way.
And potentially pushing people into even riskier situations.
Exactly. He also points out the hypocrisy of the government blocking foreign services
Okay.
while simultaneously pushing people toward foreign exchanges due to their own restrictions.
So they're basically creating this catch-22 situation.
Yeah. It's creating a very challenging environment for the Iranian crypto community.
It sounds like it.
It really does.
It's almost like they're squeezing a balloon.
A balloon.
Yeah, you know, you push down on one side, and it bulges out on the other.
Oh, I see what you mean.
They try to restrict access in one area,
Right.
and it just pops up somewhere else,
Yeah.
potentially in a less controlled, more risky environment.
Exactly. And this situation, it brings up a bigger question that's relevant to all of us, not just those in Iran.
Okay, what's that?
How do governments balance the potential benefits of crypto with the need for regulation?
Ah, that's a good one.
It's a dilemma we're seeing play out around the world.
You know, it's fascinating how the Iranian government seems to be trying to have it both ways,
What do you mean?
cracking down on individual crypto use on one hand,
Right,
while simultaneously exploring how to use it to their own advantage on the other.
right. And the article mentions their stated goal of promoting crypto for export trade.
Yeah, that stood out to me too. It felt a bit vague.
Hmm.
What's your take on that?
Well, it could be a genuine attempt to boost their economy, find new ways to trade internationally.
Okay.
But you also have to consider the possibility they're looking at ways to work around those sanctions.
So they might be trying to use crypto to bypass the restrictions placed on them by the international community.
It's certainly a possibility. Crypto's decentralized nature makes it harder to track and control traditional transactions, which could be very appealing to a government facing economic isolation.
But wouldn't that be a risky move? If they get caught, wouldn't they face even harsher sanctions?
There's always a risk involved, but for a government in a tough economic spot,
Right.
the potential payoff might seem worth the gamble.
It's a high-stakes game for sure. But let's zoom out for a second
Yeah.
and look at the bigger picture. What does Iran's situation tell us about the future relationship between governments and cryptocurrencies?
Iran is almost like a case study, you know.
A case study.
Yeah, it offers a glimpse into the global tension surrounding crypto. On one hand, you see its potential to empower individuals, especially in places facing economic hardship or political instability.
Okay.
It gives them access to a global financial system they might otherwise be shut out of.
Like a digital escape hatch from a system that's not working for them.
Exactly. But on the other hand, there's the pushback from governments wary of losing control.
Makes sense.
They're worried about things like illicit activities, tax evasion, the potential for crypto to undermine their own monetary policies.
It's a classic tale of innovation clashing with the status quo.
It is. And like we've seen with other disruptive technologies, there's going to be a period of adjustment, experimentation, and let's be honest, probably some conflict along the way.
Absolutely. And the big question is, who will come out on top in this struggle?
Right. Will it be the forces of decentralization and individual empowerment, or will governments find a way to rein in this technology and maintain control?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I imagine the outcome will vary from country to country.
I think you're right. Some governments might embrace crypto and find ways to integrate it into their existing systems, while others might take a more adversarial approach.
Right.
Whatever they choose, the consequences will be far-reaching.
Okay. So this might seem like a far-off problem to some listeners.
Yeah.
Why should they care about what's happening in Iran?
That's a good question. Because this story transcends Iran's borders.
What do you mean?
What we're seeing there is a microcosm of the challenges and opportunities crypto presents to the entire world.
I see.
It's not just about Iran. It's a window into the future of finance for all of us.
Okay. So it's a future where individuals could have more control over their own money,
Right.
but where governments are still trying to figure out how to adapt to this new reality.
And that's why it's important to pay attention, even if it seems far removed from your day-to-day life. The choices governments make today are shaping the financial landscape of tomorrow.
Okay.
And that impacts everyone.
So Iran is almost like a canary in the coal mine.
Canary in the coal mine.
Yeah, it's showing us what can happen when these forces collide.
That's a great way to put it. By examining what's happening there, we can glean valuable insights into the potential pitfalls and possibilities that lie ahead as crypto continues to evolve.
We've covered a lot of ground,
We have.
from Iran's struggling economy and the rise of crypto as a lifeline for its people,
Right.
to the government's attempts to both control and leverage this technology.
We've also explored the wider implications, highlighting the global tug-of-war between individual empowerment and government control in this new age of crypto.
So before we wrap up, let's take a moment to consider what this all means for the future.
Okay.
What's the key takeaway you want our listeners to ponder as they go about their day?
Here's the big question everyone should be asking. Will crypto ultimately empower individuals in economies facing challenges like Iran?
Okay.
Or will government control end up limiting its potential?
That's the million-dollar question. and one we'll be watching closely as this story continues to unfold. It really feels like we're at the edge of something huge.
Yeah.
You know, the outcome of this struggle between individual empowerment and government control, it could have ripple effects way beyond the world of finance.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, imagine a world where people can use crypto to get around censorship,
Oh, wow.
access information freely, even participate in democratic processes in ways we haven't even thought of yet.
It's almost like we're stepping into a digital Wild West full of promise and danger, all mixed together.
That's a great analogy. And just like in the Wild West, you'll have your pioneers pushing the boundaries, your outlaws trying to exploit the system, and
Right.
then those trying to bring some kind of order to all the chaos.
And right now,
Yeah.
it's still too early to say who's going to come out on top.
Yeah.
But one thing's for sure, this story is just getting started.
Exactly. And it's a story everyone should be following because it has the potential to reshape the world as we know it.
So as we wrap up our deep dive into Iran's cryptocurrency roller coaster, we want to leave you with one final thought-provoking question to consider. Could cryptocurrencies ultimately empower individuals and economies facing challenges like Iran's, or will government control ultimately limit their potential?
The answer to that question, it really lies in the choices we make. Not just governments, but all of us.
All of us.
Yeah, individuals, communities, the global society as a whole. Will we embrace the potential of this technology to promote freedom and innovation? Or will we give in to the fear of the unknown and allow governments to stifle its growth?
It's a question we each have to grapple with as we navigate this uncharted territory.
We do.
The decisions we make today will have huge implications, not just for the future of finance, but for individual autonomy and even the fabric of our digital world.
Absolutely. So stay informed, stay engaged, and most importantly, stay curious.
Curious.
The future is being written right now, and we all have a role to play in shaping it.
That's a great note to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.
My pleasure. It's been a fascinating conversation.
Until next time, stay curious.
Out.
Are you a podcaster? Maybe you've got that big idea and you're looking for a network to join. The multi-award-winning Ozcast network can get your content to eyes and ears all over the world. Join now for the first month free, and you could be featuring this sound at the beginning of your podcast.
Ozcast.
Simply head to ozcastnetwork.com for details.